Tesla may become the biggest company we have seen in the modern era. It is on its way to becoming a multi-trillion-dollar company. It has the potential to dominate the market for making and selling vehicles, transportation and shipping, fuel and energy, where companies like Ford, GM, Toyota, Chevron, ExxonMobil, and even Uber are all in trouble. Now, it has definitely had its struggles in the beginning, especially when Elon bet the entire company on the Model 3, but it is finally starting to stabilize. The electric vehicle market has been growing at a staggering number in recent years. With governments pledging to have all new vehicles sold by 2030, this leaves legacy automotive makers like Ford, Chevy, Toyota to shift from traditional ICE vehicles to EVs. Sales of electric vehicles doubled in 2021 from the previous year to a new record of 6.6 million. Compare that to 2012, where only 120,000 electric cars were sold worldwide. Today, 10% of all global car sales are electric, which is 4 times higher than the market share in 2019. So, legacy automotive makers are trying to cash in on this new electric vehicle trend, except it may be too late for them. Tesla was the first company to start mass producing electric vehicles in 2012, meaning they have years of experience over the competition. In Q3 of 2022, Tesla had a commanding lead over the US EV market with a 64% share of all vehicle sales. Being first to market is a huge advantage. It creates branding that no level of marketing can replicate. When people think of search, they think of Google. When most people think of EVs, they probably think of Tesla because they have been associated with the electric vehicle market for so long. They were able to turn the ugly, lame electric car into something that was cool, beautiful, something that people desired to own. The first Model S had the latest, sleekest technology that no other cars had at the time. It became something of like a social status, like, damn, you have a Tesla? It was this that allowed Tesla to propel itself to dominate the EV market, leaving the rest of the competition in the dust. Now, they have steady operating income and can use these profits to monopolize the market even further. Now, there are 4 main reasons how I see Tesla doing this, and the first is manufacturing. The way Tesla manufactures its vehicles is much more efficient than traditional car manufacturing, using new technologies such as the GigaPress, which may be one of the most important items to keeping the profit margins higher. The GigaPress is like a giant 3D printer. It uses aluminum die casting by putting molten aluminum alloys into a reusable mold. It then presses the mold together with high force. When the mold is open, you can then remove the part and start the process again within seconds. So instead of having hundreds of parts, you can just have a mold, let's say of the chassis, or heck, you can even do the entire car frame if you have the mold for it. With this amazing technology, you don't have to rely on welding and bolting hundreds of parts. You can just have 3 or 4 major parts, weld these together, and move on to the next part of the manufacturing process. This saves on time and parts, which will increase the gross margins of each car. Tesla's gross automotive margins are around 30%, while Ford's are around 12%. As of now, Tesla is the only major manufacturer using this technology, which they can use the GigaPress to manufacture the Tesla Semi, which is my second point. The next piece of the business that will pave the road to riches is the Tesla Semi-Truck. This Class A truck is to have a 500-mile range and 80% recharge rate in 30 minutes using the Megacharger. Pepsi is scheduled to receive the first shipment of 100 vehicles in December of 2022. Now, the real question is, why would a company switch from the old reliable gas-powered trucks? Well, the bottom line is money. The potential savings of operating a fleet of electric vehicles versus diesel could end up being millions of dollars depending on the size of the fleet. Let's look at a typical diesel-powered semi-truck. A semi-truck will average around 5.6 miles per gallon, and with the average cost per gallon of diesel being around $5, this will make the cost per mile around $1.12. The Tesla semi-truck is to average 2 kilowatt hours per mile, and Elon Musk has already stated that it will guarantee megachargers at a rate of 7 cents per kilowatt hour, which makes the semi cost 14 cents per mile. This would be an astounding 88% cost in fuel savings per truck, and this is not even factoring in oil changes and operating maintenance. Even if Tesla can't promise 7 cents per kilowatt hour, let's use a more conservative number and say around 30 cents per kilowatt hour. Well, that would be about 60 cents per mile and would still have a fuel savings rate of 47%, which is still really good. So no matter how you look at it, companies can still save potentially hundreds of millions of dollars just from fuel savings alone. The Supercharger network is the largest network with over 35,000 superchargers globally. This network is by far the most reliable and can charge vehicles 175 miles in 15 minutes. Also, Tesla has opened up its network to non-Tesla vehicles, but this is mostly in European countries as of now. As more and more gas-powered vehicles get phased out, we will simply need less gasoline. In 2021, the United States consumed about 134 billion gallons of gas in the year, and that is only in the United States, which easily makes this a $1 trillion market worldwide. worldwide. If all of the cars were switched from gas to electric, then the supercharger network could be potentially worth hundreds of billions of dollars alone. Money that would normally go into companies like ExxonMobil and Chevron's pockets could now go to Tesla. Well, because people need energy to power their cars, and since they have the best and most reliable network, all electric vehicle owners would probably use their charging stations. Now, most people I believe only use the supercharger network when they're in a quick pinch. Most people probably charge only at their house since it is way cheaper. It is hard to find data on how many people actually charge at the superchargers, so instead, let's try and figure out how much revenue Tesla could generate. If we imagine all the vehicles on the road in the US, around 275 million are now electric, and let's say 10% of users, around 27 million, uses superchargers as their primary source for recharging their car. The average person drives 1,200 miles a month or 14,400 miles a year. The average rate to use a supercharger is about 35 cents per kilowatt hour, and the Tesla Model 3 averages about 25 cents kilowatt hour per mile. So the total energy used for driving for the year would be 3,600 kilowatt hours, which would cost about $1,260. If we multiply that for 27 million drivers, it would be about $34 billion in revenue just in the US alone, and that isn't even factoring in the mega chargers. And it seems that these superchargers would have little to no maintenance since it's literally just a transformer, so the gross margins should be incredibly high. To put this in perspective, the revenue they generated in 2021 was $53 billion alone. So as they sell more EVs, companies like Chevron, ExxonMobil, Phillips 66 will lose money since less and less people will need gasoline. The money used for energy to power their cars has to go somewhere, and so more than likely it will go to Tesla's pockets. But there's one final thing, and possibly the most important thing for Tesla that no other company has, and this may be the case for some time. This is their full self-driving technology. The full self-driving feature has come a long way since it was first announced. From only being used on the highways as a fancy cruise control to now pretty much able to navigate on any road and is capable of almost all driving activities. They are so far ahead of the curve from any other technology in the world. Now, there are other companies working on this like Waymo, Ford, and GM. Waymo is definitely the closest since you can actually use a service in Phoenix with a robotaxi. You can literally have a car pick you up and drive you to pretty much anywhere in Phoenix. They use LiDAR to scan and map pretty much the entire city, but the problem with that is it is hard to scale. You would have to scan every road before the Waymo system could drive on it, and that's just not practical. Plus, if the road changes for construction, then the car would have to relearn the road and adapt. For Tesla, full self-driving works only with computer vision, meaning cameras are located all over the Tesla and the computer has to recognize objects and make decisions in real time. It uses a neural network called the Tesla Dojo. This is the brain that allows it to train with billions of miles and learn how to handle situations for future use. Whenever the driver has to take over to correct the mistake the car makes, the car automatically sends a short clip for further training for the Tesla Dojo to learn from. With this, the car can actually mimic driving as a person would. It can drive on highways, city streets, stop at lights, stop at stop signs, make turns, and even drive on unmarked roads. As of now, this feature is only in beta with a couple 100,000 cars on the road, but Tesla plans to add millions within the coming year. It is definitely not perfect and still has a long way to go before it can supplement driving for people. Honestly, I never thought Tesla would be able to pull this off, and the fact they've gotten this far with only using computer vision seems to be a miracle. The system will only get better in time, and eventually it will be able to achieve the elusive level 4 or 5 self-driving. Now, to be able to access this full self-driving feature, you can pay $12,000, which is a bit steep, or a subscription of only $200 a month, which this is still a lot of money every month, but if this technology shows that is much safer to have, then I think a lot of people would pay this. Even if they only have a million subscriptions, that would be $200 million a month and about $2.4 billion per year. This is really what separates it from other car manufacturers. This technology has the potential to be worth so much money. Technology-based subscription models are some of the best business models in the world. This will have the possibility to generate hundreds of billions of dollars, especially if they can somehow manage to license this technology to other vehicle manufacturers. Now, a lot of this will depend on if regulators can get behind passing laws to where a car can operate autonomously on the road, and we are nowhere close to being able to achieve that right now. But in the future, if that does happen, it will certainly be a game changer. Now, who knows if Tesla will actually become so big that it will have a true monopoly on the competition, but these are the 4 main reasons I do believe it can certainly become one of the biggest, if not the biggest company in the world. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I hope you all enjoyed, and until next time.